Hello and welcome to a new video. This is just like the last update on the leagues, honestly, and then just kind of some thoughts on the whole pricing thing with Jagex and how things are kind of going at the very least, like in terms of watching what do you call that? Uh, Watching like other creators talk about like how it's a problem and such, right? So one of the things that I've noticed, right, is that at the end of the day, Jagex is a company, right? And just to give you an idea of what that kind of means, I worked at a company for like 11 years. And I'll be honest, like companies are kind of heartless. Like that's kind of the whole point of a company. It's an entity which is bigger than the sum of its parts, which would be, the employees or even the video game, right? A company is an entity that is considered to be almost like a whole separate entity, right? Like the company, and you need it for the company. And um, while Jagex is the creator or the maintainer of the maintainer, not the creator, the maintainer of RuneScape, old school RuneScape, RS3 and all that. At the end of the day, Jagex is a company, and depending on who owns the company, that's who really directs everything. So you can't really say that Jagex or like Jagex is evil or for wanting more money. It's more of whoever's in charge wanting more money. Like is there investors who are pressuring people to add microtransactions? Like all those kinds of things are just part of a larger ecosystem. Um, how do I put this? It's very hard to kind of like pinpoint one person and be like, oh, you're the bad person. Well, no, like you have a company that has responsibilities towards investors, right? Or responsibilities towards the owner, responsibilities towards X, Y, and Z. The company is a faceless entity who is a um, organism that's made up of a lot of parts. And when it comes to developers or like mods showing like, oh, this is what we're asking the community, like whether or not like this would be okay, this is this, it's not necessarily the mods themselves. It's more of whoever is in control of Jagex who wants to make more profit, right? um, so like let's say for example, Jagex is owned by Company A. Company A is a company made up of investors or private investors who only care about profit. They bought Jagex for X, for like 100 mil. They plan on making 200 mil off of it, and they could really care less how they're gonna make it. Or even if they made like 1 million or 50 cents off of it, when they sell, the whole point of it is to make a profit. They don't really care how they leave the company or the game after they get rid of it. They only really care about where's the profit coming from. And for better or for worse, the entire industry, in gaming at the very least, is very much geared towards microtransactions. If you spend, let's say, uh, how do I put this? Let's say for like a DLC, right? Like take Elden Ring. Like that's practically a whole nother game in a game, and it's only about, I think it was like $50, something like that. It wasn't that expensive. But most other DLCs, like at the most, you're gonna get like an hour or two worth of gameplay, and you're still paying like $20, $30, right? And bear in mind how much time and effort had to go into that to create that DLC. Video games are a work of art. At least I really think that they are. It's a product of effort, team, creativeness, visions, like all of that is, it takes time, it takes money, and it takes support. And when you have a company that makes video games, like the video games aren't a priority, it's the company, because it's the company that provides the developers money to make video games. But then when you have people who own the company who don't care about video games and only see the company as a tool for profit, then it's just a lot easier to pay the developers, hey, like go ahead and make this. I think the meme at this point is make this saddle or make this cosmetic item and sell it for $2, right? The amount of time and effort that went into making that cosmetic item is minuscule compared to the entirety of the game. But those $2, how many players do you have? Do you have 10 players? Do you have 1,000 players? Do you have 100,000 players? How many cosmetics can you make? And eventually, what you start realizing is they're making money off of the small transactions, you know? And then you have people who, well, we refer to them as whales. I used to be a whale, especially when I started the channel initially. Um, I would spend a lot of money on Ninjutsu OL, and because I got the benefits of it, of the cards, and I was able to make videos, I was very happy with it, you know. And it's a system that I participated in and propagated because I was having fun at the time, and I didn't really particularly care about whether or not it would have negative impacts on the industry because I'm just one person. But then you have more and more people who think like that, and slowly, instead of video games being this passion project where you're trying to make a work of art, or you're trying to make something beautiful or something interesting or something challenging, a company is going to look for profit. And the reason a company is going to look for profit, because whoever's in control of the company is looking for profit. Um, a lot of the time when you have a company, the rules that they're not made out of love. They're not made out of benevolence. They're made out of blood. There's lawsuits. There's corporate bullshit in between. Like there's politics, you know. And my whole thought on it, for after all of that ramble, is at the end of the day, a company is gonna do what it does best. And generally speaking, for profit companies are for profit. And at the end of the day, Jagex is a video game company, but who owns the company? Who controls the company? Is a video game company really a video game company if the only thing that they really care about is microtransactions? Is that, can you really say that the whole point of making RuneScape is to create a wonderful work of art that people can enjoy for generations, when you're adding microtransactions to everything? When you are uh, incentivizing people to gamble? Because I can kind of understand if somebody's like, oh, double XP weekend, I use that like as much as I can because that's what allows me to level up in the game very quickly, and I can get to the end game content so fast and things like that. But there's methods of doing that as well. Like if you want to have a play to play system where somebody just comes up and they're level 99 and they have a fully geared maxed out account, Jagex could do that. They could set up a system where, oh, okay, you pay $200, right? And this is me being devil's advocate in that regard. But you would be able to have that person save the time, save the effort, and all of that to play the game as they intend to. Max stats, having fun with everybody else. And oh, well, that cheapens the experience. To a certain degree, yes, but you also have the people who, again, have money and they don't have a whole lot of time. But that's not what's happening. You don't have a system where you are level 99. No, you have a system where you gamble. You, especially for RuneScape 3, I'm playing on leagues right now. Part of the reason I love leagues is because of the XP multipliers, because of the relics, you know. That's why I made 4 separate accounts. But in RuneScape 3, that's not necessarily what happens. You get treasure chests, and those treasure chests you can get lamps, XP lamps, and I can tell you those XP lamps are very useful because I've used them. I've participated in that system. But at the same time, how do I put this? You can get money, right, in game currency to get weapons. You can get cosmetic items that are worth billions because they're really rare. Um, and you're gambling away your money with treasure hunter keys to possibly get a really rare item. You don't play treasure hunter to get experience points. You play treasure hunter to get the token, the seasonal token, to get the seasonal item. And that kind of circles back to what I was talking about at the very beginning of the video. At the very least, in terms of what's more profitable, releasing a whole brand new boss that you have to pay devs hundreds of thousands of dollars to design, code, test, develop, and introduce into the community, or you make a shiny black hat and you say that it's limited time and it's rare and it's not going to come back ever again, and make it worth, unintentionally, right? Because you're letting the free market take course, right? You know, like the free market, the GE is going to take care of it, you know, like traders, merchants, all that stuff. Like they're the ones who are going to be trying to make the money on it. And you realize you just made like, I don't know, 10K off of some kid who spent 200 like $10,000 on treasure hunter keys to get that possibility of getting that party hat or that Santa hat. Like that's so much easier than taking the time to develop an entire boss and do all these things. And I'm not saying that they don't, because RuneScape is a constantly growing game. One of my favorite bosses on RuneScape is Zamorak. I stream it. I love taking him down because it feels badass that you're fighting a literal fucking god that you've been listening about the entirety of the game about, you know? Like you have the three main gods and you just hear about what happens to them, how you interact with them, especially starting out. But with that black party hat, if you get lucky and sell it, well, you could buy some tier 90 gear, tier 95 gear. Get the Bow of the Last Guardian. I grinded on my Bow of the Last Guardian, but I also bought one. You know, not through trading with like websites, but I bought bonds. I had a lot of money at the time, and I bought a bunch of bonds, and I geared up my character because it's been a very long time since I played, and I wanted to play at max gear again. I didn't want to go through the effort of grinding out Zamorak another 300 or 50 times to get that gear. And being a person who participates in that system, I can still tell you that it's a system that is inclined towards. One second. Let's pause this. I thought that was weird. Yeah, being a person who participates in systems like that and is able to appreciate it for what it is sometimes, where you just save yourself time and get really good gear, um, through the bond system, you know? I see how something like Treasure Hunter is gambling. I don't mind paying for something that I know I'm gonna get. What I very much disagree is when you are gambling, trying to get something that or like paying for something that you might get. It's the might that I would say is very discouraging and very negative, because it just encourages you to try one more time. What if, I mean, I didn't get it last time, but I might get it next time. And that's kind of what happens with bosses, you know. Like I killed Zamorak 500 times and I got a full Bow of the Last Guardian. It was awesome. I had a lot of fun doing it. There was frustrating times, but there was also a lot of times where my heart was pumping because I was fucking. It was really really close to dying, and that's exciting, you know, because of the challenge. But now, for example, at the very least, from what I'm hearing, it's not even so much. Oh well, we're gonna go up in price. It's, well, we're gonna give you shittier benefits for a worse price. You know, and a lot of companies will be like, oh, it's because times are tough. Times are tough for the little person. They're not really tough for like large corporations. Because I'll be honest, whenever there's like something tough for a corporation, you know what happens? Layoffs. They trim the fat. All of a sudden, people who were replaceable a week ago, well, you know, certain people look at them and they're like, well, you know, their salary's pretty high, and do we really need a team that big? And all of a sudden, they're not irreplaceable. They're just another resource, HR exists for a reason, and HR is never there for you. They're there for the company, because human resources. You are a resource. You are a product. And I think that it would be very foolish to believe that Jagex has the capability to change in terms of looking for profit, or getting rid of microtransactions, or um, trying to keep the price of the membership the same, because little by little there's just excuses. Oh, the currency isn't as strong. Oh, uh people really said that they like this. Those people might exist. I can technically be called one of them, because again, I participated in that system buying bonds. But I would say that eventually people are just gonna give up. Ninjutsu OL died not because, like, um the copyright, realistically speaking. uh Ninjutsu OL kind of died over here just because, well, it was just expensive. Like, all they were doing is catering towards whales. And then you had a gameplay loop where the best cards were locked behind money. You had auctions where you had to fight for the cards. And while I'm sure the developers made a lot of money off of it, the people who really enjoyed the game and who were small potatoes, well, they kind of got shafted. Yeah, Power Creep eventually helped them, and every once in a while there's like a Christmas sale, and you can be free to play and all this. But I think RuneScape would be going a very dangerous path if they started kind of doing that gatekeeping, certain content behind money, certain privileges behind money. Like, oh, you want to get a better support? Well, how about you pay me an extra $5 a month, and I'll pay more attention to your stuff whenever something goes wrong. That doesn't really make sense to me. Yeah. But at the very least, in terms of leagues, sorry that whole ramble was there, because like I've been thinking about it for a minute, because I've been listening to some videos from other content creators regarding RuneScape and old school RuneScape and what's happening with the price suggestions and all that. And I can tell you, like, as a person who was in the corporate life for a very long time, whenever you have that, oh, well, management is thinking of this, that means they're not thinking. It's already been decided. Somebody sat down, you know, one of the higher ups, one of the real higher ups who was really in charge of shit, went golfing with another higher up. They shot the shit. They talked for a little bit, made some decisions, passed it down to their managers, their supervisors, and next thing you know, that possibility is reality. Um, and that can be both good and bad. And in this case, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a meeting of shareholders and they were pressuring, a certain person high up in the food chain, where they're like, hey, like, what's up with the profits? We're not seeing great profits. Oh, okay, how do we do this? Oh, I've heard microtransactions are good. I've heard that we can like raise the memberships. Hey, look, the other games are raising their memberships. In this economy, we just can't afford to raise those members, not to raise those memberships. It would be irresponsible of us to not to raise those memberships. So I say all that, and I'll give a glimmer of hope here. Um, the community is powerful. You can vote with your wallet. Um, Sometimes things need to die. I would be devastated if this game stopped, because I love it. It's been a part of my life since I was in middle school. RuneScape and old school RuneScape. But if it's no longer about the game, if it's no longer about the players, and it's only about profit, is it even RuneScape? Just some food for thought. Leagues is about to end. I didn't get very far in my other accounts. I got very pretty far in Dante. I'm not logged into Dante right now just because I didn't want to uh like switch out, pause the video, and all that stuff. Um, but yeah, I hope I gave you something to think about. Like, again, corporations are faceless. They're faceless entities who are not based on emotion. They're based on whoever holds the most power. Most of the time, the person who holds the most power is the owner. And if there's no set single owner, that usually means that there's a board of investors, or there's a group of people who hold all the power. And that group of people doesn't necessarily care that the game's been open for 20 years. All they really care about is that their bank accounts, their investment goes up. And if they don't see it going up in a way that they're satisfied with, not in a realistic way, but in a way that they want it to be, then why not just destroy it and go for something else? That's how people think, you know? Yeah, this business venture didn't work out. Well, let's see if I can invest into something else. And that has good and bad things. Creation and destruction are part of life. It's just up to us to decide whether or not you really want to make sure something gets destroyed, or if you really want to make sure that something is created or holds the same values that you do. So, on that happy note, thanks for listening. Take care. And I hope it'll be like something more positive next time.